Welcome to episode number 159 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We're recording live on YouTube on September 29, 2016. We have a ton of things to talk about today. Among them are the presidential debate fallout, of course, your Wall-E future, Facebook's inflated metrics, scary mascots, Snap goes the specs, pig dancing, stale cookies, a sound merger, and Twitter's teasing moment. But we always kick it off with the worst story of the week, and BL always has the honors to kick it off. So what was the worst story, BL?
Well, this week, the debate was the worst story, but what went viral from the debate was Trump sniffing. And either he had a cold or, like Howard Dean said, he was doing coke or whatever, but he just, the first time I heard it, I thought, what was that? And then he kept doing it. He was drinking water and sniffing and drinking water and sniffing. And I wasn't the only one who heard it, because I was watching the fact check of the New York Times, and they were tweeting, like, why is he sniffing like that? And pretty soon, like, lots of people were tweeting. And sniffing, probably. And so, of course, his Sniffs already have their own Twitter account, Trump Sniff, with more than 4,000 followers. And so Michael Allen Black, who's really very funny, he wrote, "Trump has the sniffles. Is he okay? What's going on with his health? Can he serve?" And that led to, he has the best cocaine, the best or and then the Daily Beast writer Matt Wilstein said, "Trump's sniff is the new Al Gore sigh," or the Howard Dean scream, or any number of things that have really become what really gets talked about in the debates and
Marco
in
Rubio
the election.
gulp.
Yep, that's it. But, the thing that really, really knocked my little white socks right off was when he said that not paying any taxes made him smart, which clearly makes the rest of us a bunch of idiots.
Well, BL, many people are saying that Donald Trump is a cokehead. Not me. I'm not saying that, but many people are. So,
well, there's got to be some explanation for his bizarre behavior. That's certainly on the table as a possibility.
Well, he didn't sniff. There was no sniffing. I mean,
there was a lot of sniffing.
No. There was none at all. You heard Donald Trump say so himself, that there was no sniffing.
No, he blamed it on the microphone. He said they gave me a bad microphone, that it was a setup, of course. And then, like, the next day, like, he said about things that he said, which are obviously recorded and 100 million people were watching. I didn't say that. And I think he actually believes that he didn't say that. I mean, I don't think he's just saying I didn't say that. I think he believes he didn't say that, which is part of his behavior problem.
So, from the WTF department, an editor for The Verge took a job without telling anyone that he was leaving. He started working at Apple while he was still employed at The Verge. This is from a Mashable article by Jason Abruzzi's. Chris Ziegler, he's a founding editor at The Verge, began working for Apple in July 2016, but he didn't tell The Verge, and he continued to be employed by The Verge, according to editor-in-chief of The Verge, Nilay Patel, who posted a note to The Verge on Friday afternoon. Patel said the website had become aware of Ziegler's dual employment and investigated whether he had been involved in any coverage of Apple. Vox Media confirmed that the guy had dual employment and promptly fired him. And then Patel wrote that the investigation found that they had not had any impact on the site's coverage of Apple. Who knows? But, kind of I guess I forgot to tell you I got another job excuse. What the hell? Oh my God.
That's really bizarre. Well, speaking of forgetting to tell people things, Facebook had to apologize because for 2 years they were overestimating the key metrics of their videos by like 80%. So big ad buyers and marketers are upset with them because they overestimated average viewing time by about 80%. And so they apologized. They said the metrics should have reflected the total time spent watching a video divided by the total number of people who played the video, but it didn't. said David Fisher, who's vice president of business and marketing partnerships. He said in his post. And while this is only one of the many metrics marketers look at, we take any mistake seriously. Yeah, that's a pretty big mistake, because as a result of that miscalculated data, marketers may have misjudged the performance of video advertising that they purchased, and maybe they bought more of it for 2 years, because it might have impacted how much they spent versus what they spent on YouTube, Twitter, and even TV networks. And so what they basically were doing was they counted video views of more than 3 seconds, and video views under 3 seconds were not factored in, so it inflated the average, and they had this new metric that's now supposed to be better. But the chief marketing officer at Unilever, Keith Weed, said that tech companies that don't let third parties measure their platforms is like letting them mark their own homework, and that's basically what Facebook was doing.
Yeah, well, I've done Facebook video advertising before, and I've always counseled clients to take their metrics with a huge grain of salt, because just simply before even this came out was their counting of a video view as like 3 seconds being a video view. So if you really want to see whether your videos are doing anything, have some call to action in the video itself and measure that call to action, because it's exactly true. There needs to be third-party auditing agencies if you want to trust the metrics. So, speaking of nothing at all, but we've talked about self-driving cars a lot on this podcast over past episodes, and here's another story that is not about self-driving cars. Japan Times. This is a story from the Japan Times, but Nissan has released a video demonstrating self-driving chairs. So if you're sick of standing in line at a movie theater or a crowded restaurant, you don't have to anymore. You can sit while you wait. Nissan's ProPilot chairs are chairs that are equipped with autonomous technology that detects the seat ahead and glides along a path towards the front of the line. When the seat empties, when somebody gets out of the seat, the chair returns to the back of the line. Apparently, waiting in line at a restaurant is a big problem in Japan. Nissan's inviting restaurants that want to install the system to apply for their service via social media. This reminds me of
What?
The movie Wall-E, where it depicts a future where humans are obese and carted around in self-driving chairs.
Oh, that's so funny. I remember that now that you mention it. I love that movie, by the way. What a great movie. That's great. So speaking of scary things, the Edmonton Oilers have come up with they're a soccer team, right?
Hockey team.
Hockey team. I knew it was a sport. They came up with a new mascot. It's the first time they ever had a mascot, and this mascot is sure to give many children nightmares, because what it is it's a Canadian lynx, and he's in this pose that looks extremely threatening because his fangs are out and he's kind of like, ha, everybody. And some of the reaction evoked terms such as demon and soul-eating wildcat. And according to the team, his name is Hunter, and that's a tribute to Wild Bill Hunter, who was the original owner of the team. And he founded it in 1972, so the mascot's jersey says 72, but that really did little to ease the criticism. And the video on the Meet Hunter page says he was chosen by more than 2,000 students in different schools from grades K to 9. But among the tweets to the Oilers, he's a demon from hell and you know it. And this thing is going to give kids nightmare. Who's a genius who thought this was cool? And then sports reporter Chris Peterson said, "Hi, kids. Welcome to Edmonton. I'm Hunter, and I promise my name does not suggest that I will track you down and tear you limb from limb." And he's on Instagram, and all these pictures of kids hugging him. So, hey, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the people who think that this mascot is scary,
he is scary.
Nah. They need to see Japanese mascots.
Yes.
John Oliver has a segment on Japanese mascots. If you want to see some scary ass mascots, check out that segment, because The Hunter's nothing compared to those things.
Oh God, I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley. I can tell you that.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to meet any mascot in a dark alley. That'd be
Yeah,
weird.
really, isn't that the truth? Does that bring us to better news?
It does indeed.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Okay, so there was something just wonderful this week that's called, the hashtag is We've Seen This Before, and it's Jewish grandparents promising to rise from the dead, haunt their grandchildren if they don't vote for Hillary Clinton. And this is from a Ad Age story by Anne Christine Diaz. And so Bubbies and Zadies are stepping up to push the younger generation to vote for Hillary. And the organization behind it is called Bend the Arc Jewish Action, which is an organization that brings Jews together to advocate for equal society in the U.S. But the thing that's funny about it is they promise to haunt their grandchildren. And one says, I will spoil every episode of Game of Thrones for you. I'll make sure you can only swipe right on Rabbi's daughters. I'll make sure the kale in your refrigerator goes bad twice as fast. And then one comes out like with a sheet over his head and the eyes cut out. And he's the last one in the video. And he says, you can tell I'm a ghost and not a Trump supporter, right?
That's the opposite of what happened last election cycle when Sarah Silverman led an effort to scare grandparents into voting for Barack Obama. Like, we're not going to visit you anymore if you don't vote for Barack Obama. It's
Right.
the exact opposite of it.
Yeah, well, times have changed, haven't they?
Yeah. So speaking of the election, of course, Ford, the Ford Motor Company, was involved in the debate chatter online for this most recent debate. This is from a Fortune article by Kristen Korasak. Donald Trump's opening remarks began with an ominous tone about job loss and jobs fleeing the country and heading to Mexico and China. He specifically cited Ford as an example of a company sending jobs to Mexico. His quote was, "So Ford is leaving. You see that there's small car division leaving, thousands of jobs leaving Michigan, leaving Ohio. They're all leaving, and we can't allow it to happen anymore." Ford and the United Auto Workers fired back immediately on Twitter. UAW had a tweet that said, "Fact check, at Ford is not moving jobs out of Michigan. Our agreement secures future product commitments for affected plants. Hashtag debates 2016. Ford tweeted an infographic that said Ford has more hourly employees and produces more vehicles in the U.S. than any other automaker. And the company spent the remainder of the debate tweeting responses and fact checks. It's an excellent example of real-time reputation management. They knew what was coming. They knew they were going to be brought up. They were ready to respond. And the response, because the response came not just from Ford, but also from the UAW, it had a lot more credibility, right? Yeah, the workers themselves. Not only did they rebut Trump's accusations in real time, but they did it while the audience was watching as well. Ford also scored a lot of earned media from reporters who covered their online response, just like this Fortune reporter did. The company's clearly learned their lessons that Scott Monty taught them back in the day during the congressional auto bailout hearings. Scott Monty, of course, was at the helm of social media for Ford at that time and Ford was the only one of the big three auto companies that were active during the hearings, and he was addressing online criticism at that time, which effectively muted the negative buzz of Ford, while the other two automakers weren't responding to any criticism at all. So a great example of reputation management. You know what's coming. Be prepared to deal with it.
It could have been a lot more of that because it was very clear a lot of what was coming in the debate. Oh my God. So this week, Snapchat decided to rebrand itself as Snap. And Snap Inc. And they've released a $130 pair of spectacles, which are basically video recording glasses that let you record 10-second clips. And they're going to cost $130, which is certainly a far cry from the $1,500 that Google Glass cost. And spectacles have a single button. You press it to start recording, and the camera has a 115-degree lens, and it kind of closely approximates your field of vision. And you can record circular video, and you can try to play back an experience. What they're trying to do is simulate your natural point of view and your natural range of vision. It's a really interesting idea, and I would expect, and they're going to be in limited supply, which is really smart, and I would suspect that I want them.
You go ahead and you order them and let me
come
know.
on, you know you're going to be the first to get them.
Right.
Come on, you are. You're going to have them, you know, the first in Michigan to have them.
I'm a lot more comfortable spending $100 on a you know, $100 on a pair of glasses than $1,500 on a pair of glasses. But so what is circular video? Is that 360 video?
No, it's not. It's not exactly circular.
It's like fisheye video?
More like that, I think, is what they mean. There's a video that shows what you see that we'll have in the show notes.
Great. So Google is embracing the login for measurement. This is from a TechCrunch article from Ingrid London. So Google typically measures for their analytics using cookie-based measurement. So they're changing the way they measure stuff. Over the past few months, over the next few months, the company will expand their brand lift for measuring online video to cover TV as well, so not just online video, but television. It's letting businesses add Google Maps data and photos to their ads. And most significantly, they're moving away from cookies and using logged-in data to track and market to users across multiple devices, apps, sites. It's a shift in how it identifies people across devices and screens. Google's trying to harness its impressive and immense footprint across services. I mean, you think about it, there's Gmail, there's search, there's Maps, there's Android. They've got all kinds of different properties. And Gmail alone has 1 billion logged in users. So using the login makes a lot of sense for Google. They've traditionally relied on, as I said, cookies and mobile IDs to identify and track users for remarketing, but that's not nearly as effective as using a login. So for cross-channel, cross-device campaigns, it's much more effective using the login as a way to measure people, and a clear move away from cookies as a way of measuring and tracking online behavior. So
just tonight they announced. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just tonight they announced that Google Apps for Work is now going to be called G Suite, and it's going to incorporate all the Google platforms. And you know, we've talked about what's happening on YouTube, where YouTube is beginning to add the social aspects that were in Google Plus, and Google Plus is now concentrating on becoming basically an enterprise solution. And I actually am going to do an interview with a pretty big company that's gone to Google Plus to talk about the problems they've had convincing people that they need to use it. But once they get in there, they love it. But clearly a lot of changes afoot at Google.
Oh. Every
day something new. You know, it's kind of cool, actually. But, you know, knowing Google, we don't know how long any of these changes will stick around. So something that really wonderful happened this week, and it was on President Obama's Facebook page, and it was a video from the White House that features a young boy named Alex from New York. I think he was 6, and he wrote to Obama, and he said he wanted to host Amran Daknish, the 5-year-old Syrian boy that was in that really heartbreaking photograph, the little boy who was in the ambulance bleeding. He was all by himself. And he said he wanted to have Amran come to his house, and he wanted to share his bike with him and teach Amran to ride it, and that his sister would share her adorable stuffed rabbit and collect butterflies and fireflies to give to the boy. And he said, and we'll invite him to birthday parties, and he can teach us another language, and we'll be waiting. He can just come to our house. We'll be waiting with flowers and balloons and flags. And Obama read the letter during a summit on refugees that he hosted earlier this week at the UN General Assembly, calling for nations to adopt the same compassion shown by the young boy. The video was shared 25 million times in Facebook. It got 21,000 comments and 536,000 reactions. I miss him already. I really do. Imagine President Trump doing something like that. Ain't gonna happen.
That's very sweet. So, Spotify. Spotify is in the news. They're in advanced talks. They're apparently in advanced talks to buy SoundCloud. This is from a Next Web article by Brian Clark. They looking to acquire SoundCloud. Spotify hit 40 million paying customers this month compared to 17 million for Apple. Spotify has 100 million global users. SoundCloud recently launched its own paid streaming music service. And keep in mind that Twitter invested 70 million in SoundCloud earlier this year. So I think this is, if the acquisition comes through, this is probably good news for podcasters, because a lot of podcasters use SoundCloud to host their audio. So if the acquisition comes to fruition, it could be a backdoor channel for podcasters into Spotify, because Spotify you need to get approval, and they're kind of picky about letting podcasters in. So if they do a merger, maybe this is an easier way to get at that audience for podcasters. So
interesting. So I needed a little fun this week, and so I spent some time watching a London police officer who has this epic dance-off with a giant pig, a person in a giant pig costume. It's from a Mashable story by Sam Hasen. And what was going on was there was a dance-off to raise money for a cancer charity, and this month happens to be Children's Cancer Awareness Month. And so this police officer, if anything could be more fun than seeing a police officer dancing, it would be seeing a police officer dancing with a pig in the middle of a busy street. And he joined this 24-hour dance-off to raise money for the cancer charity called Macmillan. His name is Dan Graham, and I got to say, he's got some unbelievably terrific moves. And he faced off against this giant pig, and of course the video went viral, because of course it would. It's a hoot. He's a good dancer. And he showed up in other places in the video too, but not dancing with a pig, just dancing.
Very cool. That sounds like a topic for a Twitter moment. And maybe we'll see it soon. Twitter rolling out Twitter moment creation for everyone, as we've talked about. But now it actually is rolling out. This is from a VentureBeat story by Jordan Novitt. So it's rolling out for anyone. Twitter moments, you can create them. They are, if you don't know, they're custom curated collections of tweets that are packaged into one self-contained piece of content. When you get the new feature, there will be a tab on your profile page next to the list tab. You can click on it. There will be another tab there, or another link there, to create a moment. Click on that, and you can give your moment a title, search for tweets to add to it, set a cover photo, publish and share, and you've got a moment that you've created. I imagine once these roll out and we have access to them, we'll use them. We'll use them to collect tweets of the topics we talk about for each episode, so we can have a moment for each episode with all the stuff that we talk about. I'll use them to collect the best of the tweets for my weekly Minnesota Vikings tweet chat, hashtag Vikings chat. I'll likely use it for clients to curate highlights of media coverage and trade shows that they attend. You could use it to curate positive reviews on Twitter of your company, or collections of tweets to embed in a blog post. I would use it as a speaker to package audience responses from a presentation. So there's a lot of different ways you can use it, but they're teasing it because I have moments on my tab, but when I click on my tab for my Twitter account for my moments, there's no click to create a moment. So well,
you have the tab.
It.
I don't have the tab, and the show doesn't have the tab yet either. But they said they're going to roll it out over the next few days, and they released videos about good ways to do it. They have a tips video, and they're saying like no more than the right number is 10 sections to it. And I'm sure we're going to see some really clever things, and as usual, a whole lot of crap. Because crap seems to rule. But something that's really not crap, the big issue right now is getting millennials to vote, and getting everybody to vote. Please, 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 you have to vote. But there's a YouTube Vote in Real Life channel. And what they've done is they got a bunch of well-known users together and talked about how to register to vote in all 50 states. And they determined that it takes approximately 1 minute and 34 seconds on average to register to vote. So with that number in mind, the creators are publishing 1 minute, 34-second videos, and they complete tasks like doing their eyebrows or rapping about voting, lots of different things. Some of them are funny, some of them are poignant. And this includes information about where to register to vote, the deadlines for voter registration in various states. And we will also, of course, include those. I know in New York you have until October 18th to register to vote. If you're in New York, please get out there and register to vote and make sure you vote no matter where you are. This could probably be the most important votes of our lives. And maybe the last time we get to vote, who knows?
Yeah, there's
that.
who's the pundit? She had the blog Wongcat. I can't remember her name. Anyway, she's from Minneapolis. She had the great quote of, You can vote for the first woman president or the last president."
Exactly. Exactly.
So, are we done with new? Are we on to shiny new stuff?
We are into shiny new stuff. And go ahead, Dave.
So yeah, I had to create a quick wireframe for a proposal this week, and was looking for a tool to do it that would be easy to use and allow me to do it quickly, and found one. And wireframes, if you're not familiar, they are basically outlines. You can create a wireframe for an outline of a structure of a website. So a box that shows the home page, and then boxes that show all the different sections of the site, and further boxes that you drill down to that show the pages and so forth. So you can sort of illustrate for a client how their website would be structured. But you can also use them to, if you have the right tool, you can use them to mock up individual pages to show where the elements of a page will be, where the search box will be, where the content is placed, where the sidebar is going to be, et cetera, et cetera. And so this tool I tried, Mockingbird, does a wonderful job of it. We'll have a demo of the video, a video demo of it in the show notes at beyondsocialmediashow.com/159. But it's a great tool. It's got a drag and drop interface. You can pull different elements that you need for a typical project onto the drawing, the canvas, basically. So you can put you got little home buttons or search boxes. Just drag and drop them on and arrange them as you want. You can add text. Double click to edit your text, so you can have custom text in it. You can save it as a working version that you can share with other people and collaborate on. Or you can download it as a PNG file and share it as an image. There's a trial version that I use, but you've got pro versions if you're going to use it. Different levels of pricing, but if you're going to use it continuously. But very cool tool.
That sounds really terrific, and something that I need right now. Although I have to say that a quick wireframe sounds like an oxymoron to me. But because I am in the process of launching a new product, I'm in stealth mode about, I am doing product photography, and so I came across 10 beginner tips for unique product photography, and these are really neat. You know, these are not just like a picture of your product. These are really cool ways to show your product in photographs. I'm not good enough to do most of them, but what a wonderful approach they have to doing product photos. And so I've been spending a lot of time learning how to do all things related to my new website.
Very cool. Very cool. So daily numbers. Let's wrap this up. Podcast abandonment rates. This is from Bridge Ratings. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good thing to know, right?
Yeah.
So abandonment rate of podcasts among U.S. podcast listeners by podcast length. Podcasts that are 5 minutes or less have an abandonment rate of 5%. Podcasts that are 5 to 10 minutes long have an abandonment rate of 8%. 10 to 15 minutes have an abandonment rate of 13%. 15 to 30 minutes is 15%. 30 to 45 minutes is 19%. 45 to 60 minutes is 25%. And then oddly, 60 minutes or plus drops down to 15%. So our sweet spot, we're kind of 30 to 45 minutes long, depending. So that's about 19% for our podcast. I kind of think the 20-minute mark is ideal for podcasts.
Hurry up, Dave. Hurry up.
I figure it's the time. Yeah, exactly. I figure it's the time of the commute, but we seem to be doing pretty good. So there you go. If you're planning a podcast or planning on advertising on a podcast, these are good numbers to know.
Those are good numbers to know. I like that a lot. So I guess that brings us to the end of another episode of the Beyond Social Media Show. And this was episode 159. So we will have the links to everything we discussed and the multimedia related content on our blog, beyondsocialmediashow.com/159. And we hope that you will go there and take a look at the background of all of the stories that we covered. To find David Erickson online on Twitter, he is at @DErickson. He blogs at eStrategyblog.com and creativepr.com/blog, both of which are terrific must-reads. I never miss an issue. And I'm B.L. Lockman. I blog. I'm on Twitter. I am at What's Next. I blog at What's Next blog. I run maximum-plus.com for all things related to video and streaming video. The show is online on the web, beyondsocialmediashow.com. On Twitter, we are at BS Media Show. And because we don't take ourselves that seriously, we know there's a lot of BS in media. And we also, of course, are on YouTube. We are on iTunes. We are on Stitcher. We're on Google Play. So we hope that you will find us in one of those many places. And we also hope you'll come back next week for episode 160. Same time, same station. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.